Welcome to the show. This is Anadhufu program. As I always say, Anadhufu doesn't mean simply welcome. It means a warm welcome with wide arms. Typical term in Oromo culture. My guest today is Dr. Hussein Kadir, an instructor at Addis Ababa University, and also Dean of the College of Education and Behavioral Studies at the university. Stay tuned. I'm Anwar Khalil, host, Dr. Anadhufu. I always, when I ask my guests, I ask them about their personal profile, from their birthplace, the way they grew up, and their school life. And let's begin from that part.
Well, I was born in Bali Zone, specific district in Garfa, and specific location is Bentu. And I attended my primary school at Bentu Primary School. And then I moved to Agarfa and I attended that time junior secondary school, that's grade 7 and 8. And I attended my secondary school education at Batu Terala Secondary School, comprehensive school in Goba,
Okay.
of that time. Now it's named as Tuludim Tuaigas. And then I joined Kotabe College of Teacher Education, and I graduated in teaching accounting and business courses. And after that, I get employed as a high school teacher. And I started there teaching. After serving for about 2 years.
I mean, you taught at Batu Terala Comprehensive School?
Yeah, indeed.
The name by then?
Yes.
Okay.
For about 2 years, and then I moved to Oromia Education Bureau, and I served there for long on seemingly different positions, which include perhaps head of audit and inspection department, head of finance and budget section, and head of research and training needs assessment. These are big departments. And in terms of education, I continued my education, and I did get my BSc in teaching business education from Addis Ababa University. Then that was followed by MA degree in educational administration from Addis Ababa University in 2002. And following that, I managed to get a second MA degree from...
Another?
Yes.
All right.
My second MA degree from the International Institute for Educational Planning, which is a UNESCO Paris-based organization. And then I returned home, and...
For how many years did you stay there?
Well, for 1 year.
Okay.
For 1 year. It was a 1 year program, master's program, and then came back to Addis Ababa University, and I started to teach there, and then I've got another opportunity that is a PhD program, and I did my PhD on educational policy and leadership at Addis Ababa University in partnership with George Washington University of the United States of America. And I've got a chance to write up my dissertation basing in George Washington University for about 3 months, and then come back and defend my PhD program. And that line, in terms of job experience, from Oromia Education Bureau, I moved to Save the Children USA, whereby I served as educational projects coordinator and capacity building trainer. In fact, my base was in RC Bali project, and after that I moved to Addis Ababa University, and now I'm teaching different courses at Addis Ababa University, and I also involved in a number of research activities at national and international levels.
Wow, what a wonderful profile. But one thing I heard, when you were in Kotabe, and a kind of policy shift by the Derg regime. You first studied philosophy and later to accounting or something like that, I heard. Was it true?
Yes, that's true. And I joined Katabe College of Education and I was interested in studying philosophy. And then in, I guess it's 1981, Ethiopian calendar, there was a shift of policy. In fact,
mixed policy,
it's a kind of introduction of mixed economy, kind of policy. And then suddenly we moved to study economics. And I took for about a number of economics courses, including the transport, agricultural economics, development economics, and a number of courses. And then suddenly again, the Ministry of Education refused to accept our diploma in economics. And then we were in a position to stay there and again study accounting. And so finally, we did graduate in accounting.
Wow.
That was an interesting kind of, yeah. And in my diploma program, I did take for about 104 credit hours, which is almost a BA degree.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very tough situation. But did you get another opportunity to study philosophy then after that?
No, I didn't get that kind of opportunity, but sometimes I always would prefer to, I didn't get that chance because I moved to the other direction, which is business education, mainly based on teaching business education at high school. And then the other part of it is I moved to educational administration, which I enjoyed now a lot, and I've been in it for about 15 years now, teaching courses like economics of education, research design methodology, leadership, and change and development.
When you first went back to Batu Torara School, the Zamba Torara School, comprehensive school, where you first started your job, I heard that your teachers, our kid came back home, and now even I met somebody, one among your teachers, and I met him, and he told me that he was very young. He said, he was young, was talented. Our student came back and taught with us, and here he is now, he said.
That's true. When I returned back home to my own previous secondary school, it's like, a feeling was like joining a university or a big college, because as you know, Bartra Comprehensive Secondary School of that time was one of the biggest and largest high schools, comprehensive secondary high schools in that locality. And I was very, young, and all of a sudden I started to teach grade 12 students. Then it was a different experience working with your colleagues, teachers, and like 95% of that school teachers were my teachers, my former teachers. So it was a good experience.
You were lucky, but I couldn't get that opportunity to with my teachers when I was there. And do you have kids?
Yes, I have 3 kids.
Okay.
The first one is Saud. I also named him as Anadhufu.
All right.
Now he's a grade 10 student. Our second one is Milky. She's grade 9 student.
Milky, good luck.
Yes, good luck. Yes, yeah. Very, very beautiful. And also the third one, If2.
If2.
Yes.
Bright light.
Yes,
like that.
indeed.
All right.
Now she's 6.
You're living here in Fine with them?
Yes, indeed.
Cool. Now let's go to your profession back. You told me that you studied your PhD on education policy, at State University in collaboration with Washington University there. Is it something applicable that we're working on? Because people mostly talk about the quality of education in Ethiopia is declining. Is that the problem of the policy or implementation of that kind of thing?
Mix of it, actually. Well, for one thing, yes, it works. And my specialization is on educational policy and leadership. And you must have policy for that matter, whether it is education policy or any other. You need to have policy now. One thing is the design of the policy, the other thing is the implementation of it. And sometimes we have challenges in terms of implementing policies, and we have also problems in terms of policy. Now, in our case, it's more of implementation, and now concerns of revising policies. Again, once you see the problem is in this country, once you in place a given policy, usually we don't revisit. So policies are something stable, but should not be stagnant. They are dynamic, so you need to revise them, revisit them through time. So as far as I'm concerned, yes, my field is very vivid, and you can implement, you can use it in very practical terms. It is there. Yeah.
People criticize also the leadership in Africa in general, not only in Ethiopia. What do you recommend? The leadership, specifically the education sector, I'm referring to the education sector,
yes,
than the wider political leadership.
Like what we have said now, as you know, the education of Ethiopia, particularly before 1991, was entangled by a number of problems, which includes mainly poor access, low access, poor quality, perhaps the relevance of curriculum, and its organization and management was fragile, and there was a sudden shift from centralized system to decentralized system, which actually requires capacity to implement. And without looking at the capacities of different actors, then we did decentralize the system, and the system tends to provide, in fact, access to education. And evidence has clearly indicated that, you see, over the past 2 decades, the achievements gained in terms of access, expansion of education is very high. It's getting high, and for that matter, still there are problems in terms of access itself when you compare different regions, and some of the regions are far behind the national average. That's a serious problem. But overall, the achievements gained in terms of access is very, very attractive. The challenge is, as you expand education, as you increase access, then you tend to compromise the quality of education. So over the past 2 decades now, though achievements have gained in terms of creating access, in terms of expansion, in terms of narrowing gender parity, the issues of quality are very fragile and under question. So in spite of the efforts made by different actors, including the government, still the challenges that are related to quality education, providing quality education for citizens, has remained a daunting challenge. And one of the reasons, I guess, is the quality of teachers we have.